Hey guys, welcome back to my channel if you're a returning subscriber, and a big fat welcome if you're new around here. My name is Azrnyx, and in today's video I am going to show you 3 different kitchens and basically how I made them. So first off, this kitchen is just a small and simple modern one. All 3 of my kitchens are modern ones, maybe with a little bit of a rustic twist for the last one especially. But yeah, all of them use counters that I've rotated, and then you press and hold Alt because they'll automatically stay on the roof, if you know what I mean, wherever they are. But rotated, the backs always look so much better than the fronts. I also had to put this wall on at some point, and this I've just done so that I can cover the counters, as you can see here, the front of them, and make the front of the counters look a little bit nicer, I suppose, a little bit more within the theme of the overall kitchen. Next I'm going to add a dishwasher, and rather than use a breakfast counter, I put a regular bench top over top of a breakfast counter, because you can't actually put dishwashers in the breakfast counters themselves. Next I am going to throw a fridge in. Now there is a sweet spot if you're putting a fridge in a cabinet. You do kind of have to play test as you go, and have a sim on your lot and make sure that it's actually usable if you're wanting to put a fridge in a cabinet like I have there. Otherwise it's really easy just to put one of the small ones above it, which doesn't always look as effective, but still good enough. Now I'm in the process of finding a debug post, this one here. To actually make this post visible, you need to have hidden objects on that cheat, as well as live edit objects. It is one or the other, and I personally can't tell you which one's which, I'm sorry. Because my base game save file doesn't actually let me have live edits on without hidden objects on, and I'm pretty sure it is just a live edit object. But yeah, I'm just using them to cover up the end of the counters, pretty much just where I've put the cabinets to cover up that side. And I'm not going right the way to the end just because the whole cabinet itself is white already. Next we're going to put in these lights, these ambient wool lights. This is a hidden object, and they are literally just so I can make the cabinet underneath the counter light up properly. We're pretty much done most of the tips and tricks by this point in this particular build. I'm just going to add a few more finer details now, like the suction fans above the stoves and a bit of decoration on the shelves. A lot of the decorations that I will use are going to be debug items as well, but there is a really easy way to find them. All you need to do is type in drink, and then it's this bottom one to get the empty glass, and then the cocktail glasses as well as the short glass there as well is an option for empty. But I put coffee cups in instead, and that's literally just pop them up along with a bag of coffee, and it just makes the whole thing look really effective. Lastly, we're putting up some bottles, and yeah, again, literally just type in the word bottle and you are away. But yeah, from here I'm pretty much just going to do some of the finer details. Again, I'm going to add a few hanging pots as a bit of a wall decoration, because I hate my kitchens feeling very empty. It's definitely my favorite thing to decorate, so putting in a whole pile of decorations and bits and pieces. Now if you go into the gallery and look up Fruit Loops 40, this particular simmer has got an array of absolutely amazing base game compatible non-CC paintings. Her paintings I have just discovered quite recently, and I use them in a lot of my builds. Cool, now on to kitchen number 2. We are going to use this particular counter just because I really love the marble surface of it, and we're going to get rid of the ugly gross classic wood because we're trying to go for modern kitchens, and to get rid of the wood I found a small painting and I sized it up once. Then you can free place it on the up against the counter, I suppose, and with this particular spot in the middle I needed to bring the paintings forward just a bit so that they didn't clip through the sink and look kind of ugly. Now I've got a nightstand and I'm holding Alt to just place it within the painting itself. So next I'm going to go into my gallery. Now I've got this uploaded to my gallery so it's easy for you guys to download yourselves. It's just basically one of my toolboxes, and it contains a big old pile of these just debug posts, I suppose. They're easy to change color. The one that I've got uploaded is all just in black, but you can get it in green, grey, white, and obviously the black as well. And there's tall ones in there as well as short. We're going to use this vent as well on the front just to add a little bit of depth. I sized it down twice and then I will raise it so that it's up a little bit higher, just like this. And it kind of just gives a different layer, texture, height. I don't know, it looked cool basically. I'm no designer by any means, but I liked how this particular style looked. Now we're going to add in a couple of fridges and stoves. I wanted this kitchen to be luxurious, so I wanted it to really sort of scream rich sim, you know what I mean, but for a base game. And again, we're using that technique where we rotate cabinets and place them so that the front facing is against the wall or in the wall more or less. Again, we're using paintings, but because they will naturally want to clip to the wall, I've decided to delete the wall just while I place the paintings. It does make a world of difference, and then you can click on the room pretty much straight afterwards and put the wall back. As well as that, we're just using a couple of those debug posts to cover up ugly points in either the cabinet or the, I suppose, counter. But yeah, I decided I didn't like the way that the side of the counter looked. It was quite a classic design with the sort of classic wooden boxes, if you know what I mean. So I wanted to use the debug posts to cover those up. And again, putting some counter drawers in there. Next, I'm going to add a table and chairs. Now, I kind of wanted the dining space to be within the kitchen for this particular one. So I guess you're getting a bit of both. And I wanted the table to be, well, not what it was, because we don't have many nice tables for base game. I kind of wanted to make it look a little bit different, if you know what I mean, point of difference more or less, and decided to raise shelves instead. I'm also making this shelving unit just over on this wall over here, and this is again with shelves. I've got black ones as a point of difference on the top and bottom, and then that beautiful dark wood in the middle. Again, we're using a whole bunch of different debug items like the coffee cups, the drink cups, the empty ones, and yeah, there's the small one that I didn't show you in the earlier kitchen, but everything else is more or less the same as before. As well as the bottles and the cups, I kind of used a whole pile of different decorative items, I suppose. Again, raising them where I needed to. For example, some of these things aren't actually made for shelves. So sometimes you have to raise them up higher using Control 9 or 0, but that is easy enough to do. I also added a few books because these books are actually considered a bookshelf. I'm not actually sure if they're usable. I haven't play tested this part of the kitchen, unfortunately. And although I've uploaded all 3 of these kitchens that you're going to see to the gallery, there are definitely some debug items that will not show up if you download it to your lot. Even if you've got Moo activated, they just won't show up, and that is where you kind of have to find it. Now, the reason I put a whole pile of the mixing bowls on the bottom shelf is because this is an item that will naturally clip to a shelf. So to sort of stop that and to get the mixing bowl where I needed it, I filled the spaces that it wanted to clip to. Now this microwave that I put in isn't usable. I haven't figured out how to make it usable. I know that some people have done it before, but I am not one of those people, unfortunately. It just looks really cool having a microwave in the counter, so I decided that I would send it anyway. Again, the fridges are one of those things that you kind of have to play test as you place, because they're not always usable if you don't place them the way they want to be placed in a kitchen cabinet. So yeah, again, play test that as you go. There is definitely a sweet spot. I, for some reason, found that if you are pushing it back, it's easier to get it closer to the wall, if that makes sense. But yeah. And because the Sims base game has no nice posts, I kind of used the debug ones again and again, some more of Fruit Loops art, because her stuff is amazing. There's some really cool stuff, and I love how she does it. Finally, just adding a few decorative bits and pieces, and that is pretty much more or less this kitchen just about done. Again, added a couple of range hoods, and finally added a chopping board as well. It's a debug item, and when I find the right one, you'll see that I pull the bench away and then use Alt to bring it back to the place that I want to bring it to. If you're unfamiliar with this trick, it's just that it is automatically at the right height. It's easier than using the cheat to raise it up to get it to exactly where I wanted it to be.
Love the way you always leave me. Why do I, baby, why do I? Love the touch but never love the feeling. Why do I, baby, why do I? Love the way you always leave me. Why do I, baby, why do I? Love the touch but never love the feeling.
The final kitchen is again another really simple one. Pretty modern, pretty kind of low-key rustic, if you know what I mean. I used the same benches as in the first one, so just like the plain white, and I do overlap them a couple of times, and that's just to sort of get the size that I want for my kitchen. We also use these contemporary cabinets. Tripped over that word completely. I hate the pink on the front, but that's the beauty of being able to rotate them, is you can just have that beautiful textured colored wood as your new front rather than that ugly pink, which personally I'm not a huge fan of, but hey, each to their own, right? Again, we're going to end up putting the fridge in that, and I'm also going to make a shelf. So to do that, we're using my debug toolbox number 1 to bring in those posts and place them alongside where the fridge is going to go. I kind of at this point am figuring out my layout still, and then I'm going to put another couple of these cabinets on top, but just the short ones, to try and give the shelf a little bit of a different depth. I again put 6 different posts in this shelf, and that's just because I think it looks a lot better than just the 2. It kind of fills the space a lot nicer. And we're also going to use my debug toolbox number 2. Now this toolbox literally just contains this fence, and you size it down 2 times. That is so that it fits perfectly underneath the bench. To hide the white, I also sized down these posts 2 times, and although it's not as effective, it still covers everything up, so that's what we're going with here. You don't need to worry about covering behind the stove, because you can't really see beside the stove, and I have in the past, I think, for my apartment build. Again, we're using my first toolbox just to cover up the side of the counter, and then again coming back with the fences to cover up the front and back. We're going to jump over to the other side in a second, and as well as this fence, I'm also going to come back and use the wall vent that I might have used in the very second build, I think it was, and that is just to again give the building more depth. I used it in black, as you can see right here, and that's just sort of to drag it along and kind of give a different shape. I suppose modern to me is the different boxy shape, so I wanted to kind of bring that out in this. And I'm just using the posts again to cover up the wooden post that I didn't think looked as nice in this particular instance. Now I'm just going to put a mirror as a bit of a backsplash behind the oven, and I did press and hold Alt to move the oven to exactly where I wanted it to be. Same deal with the posts, and again, play to the fridge when you place it, because it is not always usable. Finally, we're just going to add a few more decorative bits and pieces. I'm just trying to decide where I want to put my coffee cups as well as cocktail glasses, because you got to have some cocktail glasses in a build, and just regular drinking glasses as well. Other than that, everything that I've shown you already is pretty much going to come back to finish off this build, like moving the benches, once placing objects on it, and then pressing and holding Alt to take them back over. And that again is just so you can put things exactly where you want them, but have them still look like they're on a bench. Otherwise though, that is pretty much all I have for you guys in this video today. Please let me know what you think of this video, because it is my first tips and tricks one, and although it was a lot of fun, I was also not really sure how to come about doing it. So any feedback that you guys have, I would love to hear it. Please let me know what you do think. I hope you're having a lovely day. I hope you're looking out for one another. All 3 of the kitchens that I've showed you today are available for download. The gallery link is in the description just down below, and they're saved as rooms. So yeah, go check those out if you want them. Saves you guys doing all the work. You might just need to rejig a few of the debug items, but that's alright. Alright guys, I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world. Stay safe. I'll talk to you next time. Okay, bye.
Every single thing we see curated, it's overrated. These expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm trying to live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa.